Hey everybody, it's New Year, New Rules time. And today we're going to talk about the upcoming rules change differentiating unauthorized return reason codes. Stay tuned. What does differentiating unauthorized returns mean, Professor? I'm glad you asked. The purpose of this rule is to be able to better differentiate among types of unauthorized return reasons for consumer debits. Now, while the ACH has one of the most extensive return systems of any payment channel, there are still times you're left wondering, well, what return reason code do I use? This new differentiation will give ODFIs and their originators a clearer and better understanding and information when a customer claims that an error occurred with an authorized payment, as opposed to when a customer claims there was no authorization for a payment. Big difference there. An error for something authorized versus something that's not authorized at all. ODFIs and their originators should be able to react differently to claims of errors, and we're hoping we'll avoid taking more significant, possibly unnecessary action with those types of claims. What's really happening is we're taking something old and we're going to make it new again. Well, in a way. This rule will repurpose an existing, hardly ever used return reason code, R11. It will be used when a receiving customer claims that there was an error with an otherwise authorized payment. Yeah, an error or a problem with a payment that they did in fact authorize, but again, has some kind of issue with it. You see, currently, the return reason code R10 is being used as like a be-all catch-all for multiple types of issues surrounding unauthorized return reasons, including those for which a valid authorization does exist. That's not how it's intended. For example, like when a customer debit is processed on the wrong date or for the wrong amount from what the customer did authorize. It's authorized, but just processed incorrectly or differently than what was on the authorization. Now, in those types of cases, a return of the debit should still be made, but the originator and its customer, the receiver, might both benefit from a correction of the error rather than the termination of the origination authorization. A correction would help because, again, it's authorized. It just has some piece that is incorrect, and it will be processed at some point, most likely. So let's help to get the entry corrected. And the use of a distinct return reason code, the R11, it enables a return that conveys this new meaning of error, 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 rather than no authorization. This rule will be implemented in two phases. Phase 1, it comes April Fool's Day. No kidding, that's not a joke. April 1st, 2020. And the effective date of Phase 2, well, it's going to be April Fool's Day of 2021. Again, not a joke. The return reason code R10 will be defined now as customer advises originator is not known to receiver and or originator is not authorized by receiver to debit receiver's account and used for certain cases. For example, receiver does not know the identity of the originator. The receiver has no relationship with the originator. The receiver has not authorized the originator to debit the account. For ARC and BOC entries, the signature on the source document is not authentic or authorized. And for POP entries, the signature on the written authorization is not authentic or authorized. Return reason code R11 will be defined as customer advises entry not in accordance with the terms of authorization. It will be used by the RDFI to return an entry for which the originator and receiver have a relationship and an authorization to debit exists, but there is an error or maybe a defect in the payment, such as the entry does not conform to the terms of the authorization. What would that be, Professor? Well, this would be things like the debit entry is for the incorrect amount. The debit entry was debited earlier than authorized. The debit entry is part of an incomplete transaction. The debit entry was improperly reinitiated. For ARC, BOC, and POP entries, the source document was ineligible. Notice was not provided to the receiver. The amount of the entry was not accurately obtained from the source document. R11 returns will have many of the same requirements and characteristics as an R10 return and be considered unauthorized under the rules, meaning that they are incorrect electronic funds transfers and are subject to the same error resolution procedures under Reg E as unauthorized EFTs. RDFIs will work with their customer claims where R11 is now appropriate, and the requirements to obtain a written statement of unauthorized debit, a WSUD, remain the same as they are for R10 returns. So just like an R10, the R11 return timeframe is 60 days. R11 returns will be included within the definition of unauthorized entry return rate. R11 returns will be covered by the existing unauthorized entry fee, but that fee doesn't start until phase 2 in 2021. The new definition and use of R11 does not include disputes about goods and services, just as with the current definition of the use of R10. If there's a problem with goods and services, that's going to have to be handled outside of the ACH network or outside of the payment itself. Our rules, we just cover the payments. So why have R11 and R10? Okay, the key difference between R10 and R11 will be that with an R11 return, an originator would be permitted to correct the problem when possible, then submit a new entry without being required to obtain a new authorization. Having to go back to a customer and obtain a new authorization is even more time consuming and can be a hassle, something that this new rule definitely helps to alleviate. But the new entry must be originated within 60 days of the settlement date of the R11 entry. It's not like you can just do this whenever you want or wait forever. That is why we have time frames for most of the things we do. Now on April 1st, 2020, the repurposed return code becomes effective and financial institutions will use it for this new purpose. Come a year later, April 1st, 2021, the repurposed return code will become covered by the existing unauthorized entry fee. We'll start having fees for it. Would you like to learn more about payment channels? Well, then head over to the New and Improved Payments Professor website. On the New and Improved Payments Professor website, we have a free mini-series on payment channels in the US. I do appreciate you watching, and I hope you're having a marvelous Monday. If there's any questions, or maybe even suggestions for a video you'd like, please feel free to email me, kevin@paymentsprofessor.com. You want more videos? Well, you can also go to our YouTube channel. We are here to aid the payments professional in learning everything they need to know to advance their careers, get raises, even promotions, and to do so while also helping to protect their financial institutions, customers, and businesses. And guess what? Having a little fun along the way.